Paddy O'Kelly. Paddy O'Kelly and the Weasel. There was once a man named Paddy O'Kelly who lived in County Galloway. Paddy had an old donkey to sell, so he got up early one morning for the journey to market. He hoped one day to buy a horse, though he knew he would not get enough money for the donkey to buy a fine steed that day. Paddy went a few miles when it started to rain, and he decided to shelter in a large house. No one was around, so he went into a room with a fire blazing in the grate. After a while, a big weasel came into the room and put something yellow in on the grate. Then it ran away. When the weasel reappeared and put another yellow object on the grate, Paddy O'Kelly could see that they were gold coins. When the weasel seemed to stop bringing in coins, Paddy got up, scooped them into his pocket, and went on his way. But he had not gone far when the weasel appeared, screeching and jumping up at him. She clung on until some passing men let loose their dog, which chased her away. In the end, she disappeared down a hole in the ground. Paddy sold his donkey and used some of the weasel's gold to buy himself a fine horse. He was returning home when the weasel popped up out of her hole and attacked the horse. It bolted and nearly drowned in a nearby ditch, but 2 men helped him pull the beast out. Paddy was exhausted when he got home, so he tethered the horse in the cowshed and went straight to bed. Next morning, he saw the weasel run out of the cowshed. Paddy feared the worst, and when he got to the shed, he found not only his horse, but 2 cows and 2 calves dead on the floor. Paddy gave chase with his dog. The weasel ran into a hovel by the side of the road, closely followed by the barking dog. When Paddy opened the door, an old woman sat on a chair in the corner. "Did you see a weasel coming in?" asked Paddy. "I did not," said the old woman. The dog leapt at the woman, and she screeched with a noise like a weasel's cry. Paddy O'Kelly saw that weasel and woman were one and the same. "Call off the dog and you'll be rich," she shouted. She explained that she had committed a great crime, but she would be forgiven if Paddy took 20 pounds to the church to pay for 160 masses to be said for her. She told Paddy to dig beneath a bush in a nearby field, where there was a pot of gold. He could pay for the masses and use what was left over to buy a big house where he had first seen the weasel. "A big black dog might come out of the money pot," she warned. "He is a son of mine and will do you no harm. Soon I will die, and when I die, please do one thing for me. Light a fire inside this hut and burn it and my body together." Paddy found the pot of gold, and as he lifted the lid of the pot, a black dog jumped out. But Paddy remembered the warning. Paddy replaced his dead cows and a horse, and bought a flock of sheep with the money. A priest arranged masses to be said for the old woman, and he went to see the man who owned the house, where he had seen the weasel. The owner warned Paddy that the house was haunted, but Paddy insisted on buying it and stayed in the house all night until a little man appeared. The little man's name was Donal. Donal played the bagpipes and said that he was the old woman's son, and that he would be a good friend so long as Paddy told no one else who he was. When Donal said, "I'm visiting the fortress of the fairies of Connacht. Would you come with me? You shall ride there in a horse provided by me." At midnight, the two flew off on 2 of Donal's broomsticks. When they arrived, the fairy leader said, "Tonight we are going to visit the High King and Queen of the Fairies." They wanted Donal and Paddy to go with them, so off they went. When they arrived at the hill where the High King and Queen of Fairies lived, the hillside opened up and they walked inside. When all the fairies were assembled, the king explained why they were all gathered together. "Tonight we are to play a great hurling match against the fairies of Munster. The Munster fairy folk always have 2 mortals to help them, so we would like you to come with us." When they arrived for the match, the fairies of Munster were already there. So they began their game accompanied by bagpipe music. When the Munster fairies were gaining the upper hand, Paddy helped the little people of Connacht by turning one of the opponent human helpers on his back. Then the 2 sides started to fight, and before long Connacht's side were the winners. The Munster fairies turned themselves into flying beetles and ate up all the leaves from the trees and bushes until the countryside looked quite bare. Then thousands of doves flew up and devoured the beetles. Meanwhile, the Connacht fairies returned to their hill, and Paddy was given a purse of gold for his help. Donald took him back home, and he was back in the bed before his wife had noticed he had gone. Paddy had settled down to enjoy his riches when Donald came to Paddy to tell him that his mother was dead. Oh, Paddy set fire to her hut with her body inside, as she had asked. Once it burned to the ground, Donald gave Paddy another purse of gold, saying, "This purse will not be empty in your lifetime. I'm going away, but whenever you take money from here, remember me and the Weasel." Then Donald was gone, and Paddy and his wife lived long and wealthy, and left much money and farm to their children. They all did as Donald had asked, and whenever they spent some of his mother's gold, they spared a thought for him and the Weasel who had led Paddy to his wealth. When he had gone to sell his old donkey long ago. Thank you. This was not my strongest reading performance, but if you would subscribe, even if you never watch any of the videos that I put out, it would be really helpful to me, since I cannot get paid for reading you these very lovely stories until I have 1,000 subscribers, which is so many. So if you would be one of them and help me get there, I would love to get some gold like Mr. Paddy O'Kelly and the Weasel and Donald the Bagpiper. Yeah, anyways, see you next time. This has been Paddy O'Kelly and the Weasel.